to Super Marvel Brothers, the Marvel Cinematic Universe recap podcast.
The only one in existence at this moment that we are aware of.
That we are aware of.
So therefore, the only one in the world that you need to know about.
Yeah, so we just got done watching Iron Man.
Yes, Iron Man 2008, directed by Jon Favreau, known as Happy in the MCU. Did you see this one in theaters?
I think I did. I think I did. I was excited for it. I think I saw it with Mom and Dad.
I'm trying to remember if I did. I can't remember if I saw this one in theaters. I know I didn't see our next movie, The Hulk, in theaters.
I haven't even seen that movie at all.
Yeah, well, that'll be fun next week. But this would be either I guess would be the second movie I didn't see. I've seen every other MCU movie in theaters, but I don't know if I've seen Iron Man. I don't know if I've seen The Hulk.
Okay.
Well, I know I haven't seen The Hulk. But, I'll think the first thing I'll point out is this was a huge character shift.
From Captain America?
Captain America. For those of you who are just tuning in, we are going to be watching these in the chronological order of the MCU, not necessarily the release order. So we start with Captain America, moving on to here. This was a huge shift in the character development when you have Goody Two-Shoes Captain America. And the first scene you see Tony Stark in, he has a huge glass of whiskey.
Yeah, it's awesome. I love it. Iron Man's definitely one of my favorite MCU characters. And I gotta say, within not even 5 minutes of the movie being on, we already got to know how dated it was. Because there was a MySpace reference.
There was a MySpace reference in this movie. There's also flip phones in this movie.
Flip phones everywhere.
Because when you think of Iron Man, you think of...
the most technologically advanced hero on the Avengers and in the MCU has, like, a razor.
Yes. So we do start the movie off. He is in Afghanistan already, taking selfies with soldiers, kind of being, what Tony Stark is. And I will say... They do a great job in the first 15 minutes of the movie. They characterize Tony Stark perfectly.
Oh, yeah. He's the pompous asshole sort of character who is like, oh, I'm not taking anything seriously because I'm a billionaire playboy philanthropist. Whatever. Genius playboy. Whatever. That's not till, 8 movies from now.
Yeah, but still, we're going to get this right. Like we said, we are the only podcast people listening to recap the Marvel Cinematic Universe. We need to be perfect.
So, yeah, he's in the Humvee going to wherever he's going to in Afghanistan, pretty much having a good time with the soldiers. And then suddenly they get attacked, and he sort of gets hit by his own weapon, which is actually a funny scene.
Best marksman for henchmen in any movie I've ever seen.
Oh, they lose it instantly, though. They had a really good day.
That opening scene, it was like bam, bam, bam.
They killed everyone.
Yeah, it's the anti-stormtroopers here.
Yeah.
Literally, one shot, one kill throughout, and then, they do lose it later.
Yeah, so Tony gets essentially knocked out and heavily injured by one of his own missiles.
And then we get the flashback kind of explaining more the character, why he's in Afghanistan going through that. He's a weapons designer, kind of took it from his dad, designing weapons now. He's basically the arms dealer for the entire United States. And he's showing off his new missile, the Jericho missile, which he famously says, the best weapon is the weapon you only have to fire once.
Yeah, that was a really good speech. And then they go in the Humvees, and we're pretty much right back where we just were. And then he wakes up in a cave, and a bunch of terrorists, which I was excited by this. They were named the 10 Rings, which I didn't pick up when I first saw this movie. And for those of you who don't know, the 10 Rings is, they bring it up more in Iron Man 3. There's this whole thing, they try, with the Mandarin, who's like this, in the show at least, the cartoon, was a magical person who had these 10 magic rings and did all crazy stuff. But the 10 Rings in comics and stuff has also been known as like a crime organization.
Yeah, and I was you can kind of tell here that, you don't really know, is this just lip service to the fans saying the 10 Rings, or is this actually going to be part of the plot? Because,
right.
Yeah, I mean, you say they mention it. They do have a flag, too,
they have
later
a flag,
in the movie.
Yeah.
And you say they do try back in Iron Man 3. I think it's one of those things, it's there if they want it, but I don't think they plan on using it.
It's kind of like part of the world. Like, they're not necessarily dipping into it, but it's like, hey, this exists.
There's a thing called this.
Yeah.
Speaking of world building, I do want to point something else I did notice, backtracking a little bit. Tony Stark says his dad helped fight Nazis. No mention of Hydra or the Red Skull. Therefore, to go back to our last episode,
it's all covered up. It's all covered up.
It's a cover-up,
which
is
Is
amazing.
super impressive.
How do you cover all that up? Somehow they found a way. But he did not mention Hydra or Red Skull. He said Nazi specifically.
Yeah, so that's really crazy that they managed to cover up, city block-sized tanks. Yeah, and so they kind of go on, and he's stuck in the cave. He meets another doctor, Jensen, who is.
I really like Jensen.
Jensen was a great character.
I really like him. I think he's a good way of kind of getting Tony Stark to make that compass switch.
Yeah, he was the moral compass that Tony Stark kind of needed. Because the terrorists have him in the cave, and they're like, build a Jericho missile for us because we want to do some damage. And Jensen's like, oh, we gotta do what they want because your life will be a waste if you don't, and blah, blah, blah. He also gets the magnet put in him because shrapnel go into his heart.
Yeah, let's talk about this. I know we're suspending beliefs in these movies.
Right, it's comic book.
And he might be, the second best surgeon in this world behind him, assuming Stephen Strange, the Jensen guy.
Right.
He was able to hook a car battery up to an electromagnet, input it into a person's chest without causing any infections.
In a cave.
With like one
fluorescent
light tube.
Yeah, he wasn't even like knocked out. Stark was awake because he was screaming through the whole thing.
Yeah, so like this guy deserves a Nobel Prize. Like,
yeah,
why
absolutely.
does he not have an award yet?
Absolutely. Like, how does this surgeon go missing and no one knows?
Yeah, see, this should be more of a bigger deal than it is. But Jensen is a really good foil at this point for Tony Stark because they playing Tony Stark. He's arrogant. He's selfish. He focuses on himself.
Mm-hmm.
And then now to get this idea, like he's got this kind of camaraderie and partnership that he needs now to survive in this situation. It kind of lays the foundation of where they're going to go with that character in the next few movies. Yeah,
and he still never loses that like roguish charm that he sort of has, but he definitely does become more of a hero as the movies go on.
While they're in the cave, one last thing I want to bring up out there. This is a movie that was made pre-Disney.
Yes, this was
Marvel Disney, and you can tell this is a darker movie than I'm used to.
Cap was post, wasn't it? Cap was post Disney, so this is pre-Disney.
I think
there's a waterboarding scene.
There's a waterboarding scene in this movie.
Yeah, they go dark. I mean, the
mouse would have never let that happen.
The mouse would not stand for that cruelty. Yeah, I mean, and it kind of shows, like, they get some gross stuff. Like, there's this point after he wakes up from the surgery, which is for some reason one of the most memorable parts of this movie for me. I don't know why. Where there's a breathing tube in his nose, and he just pulls it out, and it's like, it's like a foot long.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and it just pulls it out. And it's like, I don't know why that's so memorable, but it's just a gross thing that they probably wouldn't put.
There's a lot of that visceral kind of stuff, like when Pepper goes in later in the chest.
Yeah.
There's just a lot of that in here that I think, had Disney owned
this
property,
it would have gotten
not
cut.
Have been like
this.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I believe the two movies made before Disney are this and The Hulk. Well, The Hulk's made by Universal. That's a whole different thing.
No.
And maybe Iron Man 2? I don't know that for
that
sure.
might have fallen right in there.
It's like right at the edge of it isn't. But anyway, so this is definitely I think this movie's totally different if Disney owns Marvel at this time.
Yeah, and I mean, even in the future Iron Man movies, like 3 and stuff, you see they don't go that gross.
They don't. So we get to this cave scene, and he realizes there's only one way out, and he's going to build his prototype. He builds his arc reactor, and he starts building the Iron Suit Mach 1.
Which is a great throwback to the, like, I couldn't tell you the decade. I want to say 70s, but I could be wrong.
60s, maybe?
60s.
We should probably point out for those listening, we don't really read comic books.
Yeah.
I've read a couple. I'm not caught up.
We like superheroes, but we're not willing to put in the money and time to really get
It's
in
so
it.
intimidating.
It's so much.
It's so intimidating to go to a comic store and look at all those things.
But yeah, it's a good throwback to the original Iron Man, which was this big, bulky suit that looked a lot like the prototype scrap metal one he made. And it's super cool. But yeah, so the sweet scene where he's blacksmithing it. Oh my god. It was
a little uncomfortable being another man in the middle of that scene.
It's so cool.
And
he's just hammering on the metal.
You just wait till Guardians of the Galaxy because I'm going to make you feel just as awkward.
I know.
But yeah, he's blacksmithing. He makes the suit. We finally get to the point where everything's ready to go in the suit. It's fully operational. and they realize they don't have enough time.
Yeah.
And this was a big moment for me. I know he's just a minor character, but Yinsen kind of goes out, takes the machine gun, he's blasted away to buy time for the suit to power up and get all the whatever they need, the Windows updates.
Yeah, pretty much. Jarvis updates.
Yeah, and Jarvis updates. He goes out there and he does eventually die. And Tony kind of sees him, and then that's the realization, like, oh no, he's been saying this whole time he's gonna see his family again. He's gonna see his family again.
Right.
And then he says, like, my family died a long time ago. I'm not seeing them again, or I'm going to see them.
Yeah. This is how I'm going to see him. He's like, this was the plan all along. So that was kind of a big moment. And then Tony does what the Hydra soldiers from Captain America should have learned to do.
This was a big gripe in the first Avenger. That scene with the flame-throwing Hydra soldiers, they don't cross it. They try.
No, they don't kill Captain when they could have. They don't just end it. No, they just put him in a ring. Tony learned the art of crossing the streams of fire.
You cross the streams, good things happen.
Because he just torches the entire camp. Like, in seconds.
Explosions everywhere.
Oh my gosh.
Like, it is amazing. And then he jets off. And this was another thing that kind of stood out to me. He's dead. Like, once he crashed in that sand, Tony Stark is dead.
He was, like, buried up to his, like, sternum, probably, in sand? Yeah, no, he would have been accordioned. Yeah. Like, there's no way.
He walked out of there with a broken arm. I don't even know. Like, his leg at least should have been broken. But the plot armor that he needed to walk away.
The plot armor, well, the Iron Man armor had plot armor built in.
Oh,
clearly.
That's what the drivers were for.
Yeah, they had to update the plot armor. Yeah, so he walks off, which for some reason, you point out, he doesn't go far.
I'm saying, I'm going to be very generous here. He might fly a mile, and then he's still walking away. I understand he caused a lot of havoc. I don't know how, after being 3 months in a cave, there's still planes flying around looking for him.
Right,
There's a lot of, like, okay, we're pushing it here. But they do find him. He goes back to the United States. Gets a Burger King Whopper, which we both said was excellent product placement, because we both went Burger King Whoppers
I think on my drive home I might stop at a Burger King. I don't know. Yeah, so he gets picked up, comes back to the U.S., where I think that might be... No, we met him in the flashback, but Rhodey comes back into the whole thing again. Rhodey's the one who finds him, actually.
Do you want to talk about Rhodey now?
What do you mean? It's consistent through all the movies. He doesn't turn from one lighter-skinned black man to a darker-skinned black man who has way more appeal.
So, I'm not going to lie. When I heard the original plan, like, they were going to build this universe and do that, and then I saw they couldn't even keep Rhodey between 1 and 2, I was like, this is not going to end well. This is going to be a bad experiment. Yeah. I am so glad Terrence Howard is no longer
Oh my god,
movies.
He's so, like, he plays, like, the doty, like, mother. Like, nope, I'm not part of this. I'm not doing it. Nope, no. Where Don Cheadle's like, come on, Tony. This is not a bad idea. I'm going to help you, but this is not a good idea.
Tony, you know better.
Yeah.
Don Cheadle does this part so much better. He seems more genuinely friendly. Terrence Howard's just like, I have to deal with you, so I'm going to act like this.
Exactly.
When Don Cheadle takes over, he generally seems like he likes Tony.
Yeah. So, 3 months go by. He has the press conference where, well, we meet Agent Coulson, which this is the first appearance of Coulson.
Yeah, so this is the first movie of Agent Coulson in, and he keeps stumbling through
which is funny.
Initiative. He's fine. He's fine in this movie. Obviously, we know his roles get a little more in depth and detail. He's fine. It's a nice... Again, you can definitely tell that, unlike DC, Marvel has planned where the story's going. They may not have everything written down.
They had a good idea.
Unlike DC that just throws stuff together and hopes it works.
You know who Aquaman is.
Apparently.
The most interesting character in that story doesn't need a whole movie. Not before the story. Anyway, we're a Marvel podcast, goddammit.
The only
Marvel wrap-up podcast.
If you hear of another podcast, let us know. We are going to sue them.
It's a doppelganger. Don't trust mimics. So Coulson comes in, which is funny because he's like, oh yeah, I'm from this agency with a super long name. It's like, blah, 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 like, we need to debrief Mr. Stark, and it's like, he's kind of funny, like, awkward, and it's like, oh, who's this nerdy-looking guy? And then Tony has the press conference where he announces that they're shutting down Stark's weapon manufacturing and development.
and stocks prices plummeted.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
tenfold that day.
We see shit post the show, which is Mad Money, where it's just like sound effects and images and breaking things and oh my gosh.
It's just So you can obviously tell, and this is where we start getting to the main conflict of the movie: the idea of business over ethics.
Yes, which honestly is a good kind of like moral.
And again, it's really funny that Disney's buying everything
Yeah,
now.
yeah.
This is a Disney product.
It's really ironic, honestly. But and they mention what's the name? Stain. Jeff Bridges.
Yeah, just Jeff Bridges.
Jeff
Bridges.
I forgot Jeff Bridges was officially part of the MCU.
And he's one of the first people to buy this.
He was in. I mean, he had a relatively minor role, grand scheme, which kind of sucks because I like Jeff Bridges.
I'm gonna look up the budget of this quick.
Go ahead and look up the budget. I'll keep talking.
Okay.
Jeff Bridges meets with Tony at their arc reactor at the Stark Industries place, and it's like, we're ironmongers, which is like foreshadowing. Throw that in there.
So I actually thought this was a smaller budget movie for the first one because it was, Jon Favreau, but and the cast is really good. Actually, $140 million.
That's pretty good.
Budget, and it does make 98 opening weekend, so it does very well for itself. But it was kind of surprising because you think this isn't an established thing yet, and you still have a lot of really good actors in it.
Yeah,
especially for a B-tier Marvel hero at the time.
Good cast. I mean, you got Jeff Bridges,
Gwyneth Paltrow. Robert Downey.
Which this is kind of he kind of fell out. This was his like upswing.
This was his upswing.
This was him like, okay, 80s, 90s, he was there. Okay, I disappeared due to some drug issues, and this is like, sure, I'll be Iron Man.
And it's kind of funny because I do know a little bit about Iron Man in comics, that he is huge like drug issues in the comics.
Drug and alcohol, yeah.
Which I wish it would kind of. I know you can't do the drugs, but I wish they would do the alcohol a little more in these movies.
It's a big and I wish they would too if they could go. Well, they can't really go that gritty anymore, but to do almost at least part of a movie because a big thing in the Iron Man comics was that Tony Stark was his worst villain because he hated himself and he just drank himself into like.
And they try and do that later in the movies, but it's more his work.
It's
just not the same.
It's not as dark as like the self-loathing sort of thing.
So it's kind of funny that they picked Robert Downey Jr. for this role.
Yeah.
We also talked in the middle that the original cast for this role was actually Tom Cruise.
Oh.
They wanted Tom Cruise to be.
I don't think he could have pulled it off.
The issue was he wanted the mask to be clear so you could see his face. Because
I would have hated it.
He needed that screen time.
No, I would have hated it.
It's a totally different movie if you have Tom Cruise do this.
It's a totally different movie if you have a clear mask. Like, that mask is so, like, iconic.
Yes.
He drops the Ironmonger thing. Tony starts working on his Mach 2 of the, Mark 2? Mach 2? Whatever.
I think it's Mark 2.
Mach 2. Mark 2 of the,
Probably Go Mach 2.
Go Mach 2. Of the Iron Man suit, which is like the silver one. He takes off. Well, there's the like. It's not a montage because there's not music to it.
I will say the one thing about this movie, the middle is very slow.
It's slower than Cap.
Cap's very compared to Cap, where Cap picks up in the middle.
Well, and you got to remember, this was like one of the first Marvel movies, and Cap was well in. So they kind of found
Cap, they had kind of
they had their pace down. This definitely they focused a lot on Iron Man perfecting his suit and testing it out.
Which I guess in hindsight you think Iron Man is not before this was not a very well known character.
Absolutely not.
Like it's not like Spider-Man, which I know we talk about how much we hate how they have to spend 8 hours going killing Uncle Ben and great power in every single movie besides the last one. So it is. I get you have to do that because you have Tony Stark, who maybe a lot of people aren't familiar with, but it is the middle's just so slow.
Yeah, and they do the great thing they do about this is they don't. I mean, this is an origin story, but they don't go over his background to like his relationship with his father, which is a whole issue, and I think they do that more in 2.
They start doing that more in 2 and 3 to get a lot more of that backstory. Which again, when you have it planned out, that's okay.
Yeah, when it's spread out, it's nice because you learn more about the characters you watch. It's not
you get more invested.
Yeah, it's not so front loaded. It's like here's how this character's life is, and it's like okay, well I want to learn that. So he's working on Mark II. Gets flight out thing. More foreshadowing with the icing issue as he tries to climb to a higher altitude.
Mm-hmm. And that's kind of where he comes with the idea of getting that gold color that we kind of get iconic with.
The red and gold, the gold titanium alloy or something. Did he get his second arc reactor yet?
I don't know, but let's talk about that scene.
Which is honestly a funny scene, where Gwyneth Paltrow's character Pepper Potts is his like assistant. And he's downstairs working in his workshop. And he's like, hey, how small are your hands? Like, randomly, like, just calls her. Like, hey, how small are your hands? And she's like, I don't know how to answer that. He's like, just come down to my workshop. Comes down. He's sitting there on a table, like, bare, like, no shirt on with, like, it looks kind of like a surgery setup. And he's like, yeah, I need you to pull this reactor out of my chest. He's like, the thing keeping you alive. Yeah. Pulls it out. He's like, yeah, there's a stray wire. I need you to pull that, too. And she's like, oh, there's plastic. He's like, no, it's just this gel stuff made by the reactor. Don't worry about it.
And then she's like, whatever you do, don't pull the magnet out.
Yeah, and she pulls the magnet out. And she's like, are you going to be okay? He's like, yeah, no, it's fine. I'm just going into cardiac arrest.
Again, this is a billionaire, perhaps a trillionaire for all we know.
Yeah.
And he cannot just say, hey, I need a doctor to come do this.
Right.
I'm going to do this by myself.
I mean, it's part of that cocky attitude, you know? He's still, in the grand scheme of the MCU, he still hasn't lost a lot. He does. You do definitely get that tunnel vision work ethic that he has in this movie, but it is like, I can do it by myself. I don't need anyone. Like, I've never needed anyone. Why would I need anyone now? He gets a new arc reactor to power everything essentially, and keep him alive because shrapnel in the heart. And then while he's working on Mark 2.5 or whatever, where it's the gold color, the gold and red. He sees that there's one of actually his events that he didn't get invited to, so he decides to crash it, which is where we hit my personal favorite part of this podcast, the Stan Lee cameo.
I will say I'm so disappointed with last week's cameo.
Oh, it's so bad.
Like, when you start a podcast and one of your rankings is the Lee cameo and it's that low. It was bad, but it picked up a little bit here.
Yeah, it did. It was a lot better than the first one, though. Oh, I thought he'd be taller. Where he's Tony Stark's on the red carpet going to the event, and you just see, he's like, oh, hey, Hugh, how's it going? And Stanley turns around, and there's a bunch of women around him. He's wearing the Hugh Hefner smoking jacket, and it's like, Stanley's Hugh Hefner. That's hilarious.
Yeah, he gets a lot of those kind of roles in these,
especially
in the Iron Man movies. It seems.
I mean, Iron Man is a little bit sleazy.
I guess so. We get to the party. We get the Pepper Potts, Tony Stark dance scene, and then the scene they go up and they're about to kiss on the roof.
It's very awkward. It's painful.
Especially for Tony Stark. He should not be this awkward.
Yeah, absolutely.
But he says, I'm going to go get a drink first. And I do love the fact that they do call it back later that he never does go back up there.
He never goes back.
Pepper Potts is up on that roof for at least probably a solid hour and a
absolutely.
half by herself.
Absolutely.
No cell phone, no nothing there. She's just looking out in Malibu.
Yeah, that was funny.
And then we have the confrontation with Stain.
Oh yeah, well Tony is working on.
Well, they find. I'm sorry, the reporter.
Right. The reporter
says, like,
early in the movie.
Look at all these weapons in this desolate town.
Oh, can I talk about how she was so annoying?
She was very annoying.
Like, and I don't know if that's what they intended. I'm sure it is, but like, this reporter they meet way earlier during a flashback in the movie, like way at the beginning,
she's in the middle, and then she's at the end. She's the reporter at the end.
She's so annoying. Where she's like, I'm morally right, and blah, 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 blah. And he's like, okay, well, I just
graduated from Brown.
Yeah, and he's like, okay, I'm not my company, so... And then later she shows him these pictures of people with his weapons attacking this town.
And she's, like, blaming him. And
yeah.
he's like, I have no idea what you're talking about. It's like, well, your company did, so therefore you're wrong. And it's like, it's a multinational global company. He can't... He's not stamping every single one.
Absolutely
100% guarantee that.
Yeah, so there's that, and then he takes the red and gold Iron Man suit out for a spin over there. Totally, there's some great action shots in there where like they have the hostages and they're holding them up, and he just like smart computer kills them all without even touching a hostage.
The tank missile.
Oh my god, where he lands, he like gets hit by a tank missile, lands, and like dodges another tank missile, then just shoots one tiny rocket and blows up the whole tank. which so far is a theme in Marvel movies. Tanks are getting blown up.
Yeah, I hope this continues. Actually, it might.
It might. It's like the Star Wars hand cut off thing. They're like,
there
I have a bad feeling
tank
about this.
blown up, yeah. And then we get the scene where he's with the.
I can't
the
wait
Raptors.
till it happens in Black Panther.
Oh boy.
Yeah, he's flying away from that, and then the jets come up, and it's actually a really funny scene of the command center like, hey, what's this thing? We don't know what it is. It's not ours. Oh, you jets can engage. And he's like dodging all these jets and everything, and like trying to shake him off. And Rhodey comes in, and they're like, "Oh yeah, well, is it yours?" He's like, well, "Let me make a call." Calls Tony.
I want to point out here. I think Tony Stark has a flying suit. He's got mini missiles that can blow up tanks. I think the best invention is he can go into the middle of Bumble wherever and have perfect cell service. I can't go to the northern part of the state and keep cell service. He can go to the middle of Pakistan, and AT&T is still connecting him.
Little satellite man,
That's the greatest invention Tony Stark has.
Yeah, really. Like, honestly, you should quit that. Just going to phones. Like, screw weapons. Going to phones.
Don't do weapons. Go to phones. Everyone
Stark
needs
phones. Yeah, and Rhodey calls him while he's flying away from these jets, and he's like, "Oh, where are you, Tony?" He's like, "Oh, I'm driving." He's like, "Why are you out of breath?" He's like, I'm jogging. He's like, "I thought you were driving." He's like, "I drove to jog."
Yeah, that's a pretty funny scene. And then we get the part where he's trying to run away from there, and then he actually breaks the wing. Which again, we both said, at best, he has broken ribs.
Yeah, he like, what, he hits the flaps or something, and like he essentially hits the brakes midair, and like Jetwing just goes like not through him, but it hits him.
And breaks the wing off. So at best, he has broken ribs. Realistically, he's probably severed in half here.
Oh, absolutely.
So again, the plot armor is very. He upgraded that in
I mean, with the gold titanium alloy, the red paint, and then he's like, "Yeah, let's throw another layer of plot armor in there."
And then he saves the pilot who had to bail. He saves him by punching out the
parachute.
So we do get that nice hero.
The hero moment. Well, one of his less violent hero moments.
Yeah, no one died in that one.
Yeah,
just a multi-million-dollar plane explodes.
Yeah, which happens.
That happens.
They also had the really funny thing of Rhodes saying like, "Well, how am I going to cover this up?" He's like, "Say it's a training routine. Isn't that how it works?" And he's like, "It's not that simple." And then instant jump cut to Rhodey at a press conference saying it was a training accident.
Didn't see that coming.
Yeah. So we move on to
Stain's now.
Stain's like full.
He's meeting with the Ten Rings.
Right.
They after Tony left, they dug up his armor.
Right.
The Mach 1 that he left in the dirt, in the sand. And he's now fascinated by this. And he puts everything into building this suit.
Yeah, and then Tony gets full tunnel vision while that's happening. And it's like, oh, it only matters about the next mission. And Pepper's like, well, I'm not going to watch you kill yourself. So I quit, blah, blah, blah. And then he... what is that when Pepper?
Well, he asked Pepper to go put the zip drive in.
Right.
He needs the plans to know where these weapons are going. So he's not in Stark Industries now. He's just at home. He's working. He hasn't been there in months apparently.
Right.
And he says, "You need to go get these plans so I know where these weapons are going, so I can take care of it."
Right. So Pepper goes there, and
then we get that interaction.
Yeah,
with
with
Tony's office.
With Stain and Pepper.
It was awful.
It was so creepy.
I mean, it was very creepy. Like, Jeff Bridges does a pretty good job in this
He's
role.
a good actor.
I think they needed to develop him a little bit more. Like, what's his motivation? I think the motivation kind of... I mean, I guess they want you to say, like, oh, he's obviously a businessman. He has some money.
Right.
I just feel like there should have been more there.
Like keeping the Stark legacy what it always has been, which would have changed with the times, and he's like, no, this is what Stark's always been, like almost like a loyalty to his father sort of thing would have been cool, like a hey, like, no, this is how your dad did it, and I get you're his son, but it's still his business, and this is how it's always been done, sort of a like an old age versus new age thing.
Because I think he does, like, his performance is very good. I just think the development isn't totally there. And, that's always been the knock on Marvel. Their villains are never fully developed.
Right.
So, but I think that is a knock. Because I think a lot of times the villains do a good performance.
Yeah, absolutely. They have a lot of good actors as villains. And, you have to be a good actor to play a comic book villain, I think. But, it is just they don't have a lot of development.
So she gets the plans, and with those plans, they do have the video saying...
Oh, yeah, you didn't pay us to kill Tony Stark. The Ten Rings who abducted him way in the beginning, we learn, were sent by Stain to kill Tony Stark so he could get control of the company, essentially.
And they also get the blueprints for his Iron Man suit.
The Ironmonger. Which was name dropped earlier.
It was name dropped. You got really excited for that.
I had no idea. I remember when they came out and they were talking about the Ironmonger. I was like, who's the Ironmonger? Like, that was the big suit at the end. I was like, when does it say that's his name? I thought it was just freaking big Iron Man suit that's clearly the bad guy. And then watching it again, I was like, oh, they say Ironmonger. Okay. War Dog.
That's a deep cut.
That's not a deep cut.
No one's going to get that cut.
Oh, we'll see.
Inside jokes are fun, aren't they, people?
So then...
The one thing holding him back, though, from building a suit is he cannot get the arc reactor miniaturized.
Right, they can't make the Stark engineers can't make the arc reactor that small.
When you get that great line that he does say, he's like, Tony Stark built this in a cave
with scrap metal.
And then the guy says, well, I'm not Tony Stark. And I was like, yeah, that's good. Good answer.
Fair enough.
So, to get this arc reactor, he does the only thing he knows how. He takes his
paralyzing
device.
Paralyzing sound device. Which for some reason
again,
makes veins go across your face.
That's something we don't see ever again in the MCU, and I don't really know why.
Like, you'd think S.H.I.E.L.D. would at least utilize that.
That seems like something that'd be very useful.
Black Widow should have one.
Black Widow should have that somewhere.
Like...
Something's missing there.
Yeah. There's totally uses for that, which it would be a good throwback. I think if you threw that out now, a lot of people would be like, where's that from?
Yeah, that's true.
Like, no one would remember.
I mean, it just seems like, especially like if you think of in maybe Spider-Man or something.
Yeah.
You're obviously not going to have your big, giant Thanos have it.
No.
But if you had one of those lower-level guys have it, that's useful.
That's absolutely...
Or even to throw it in maybe it's in the Defenders. I haven't watched the Defenders, but if you threw it into a Netflix show.
Yeah.
But to get it, he then takes out the arc reactor from Tony's chest and leaves him there.
Which, Tony then uses the really funny, honestly...
The hero of this entire trilogy.
Oh, yeah. The arm.
Robot arm?
Robot arm.
The whole time he's just blowing the
fire
extinguisher.
Yeah.
And now this time he's like, oh, you want this? You didn't say anything, but I think you want this. And drops the arc reactor right by Tony.
Yeah, because Pepper took his first arc reactor and then made him into a little statue that says proof that Tony Stark has a heart. Which was funny. Forgot to mention that. But yeah, the arm gives him the arc reactor and he puts it in his chest and gets Rhodey and he starts suiting up. And here's where the really, really funny, ironic thing happened is, as he's as Tony flies out in his Iron Man suit, Rhodey looks around to the Mark II, the silver one, and it's I do remember this.
You get the music change first off.
Yeah, you get the music change, and I remember thinking this theater's are they gonna throw War Machine in this too? And then he's like, maybe next time.
It's funny because he never wears it.
Don Cheadle takes that from him.
Yeah, Don Cheadle did none of the heavy lifting, but gets all
the
awards.
Absolutely. Yeah, so we get that funny Terrence Howard War Machine tease.
So we get into this final fight. They're at Stark Industries. Agent Coulson does come back, trying to arrest...
Yes, Agent Coulson becomes, a badass all of a sudden.
I truly think, oh, I'm on a mission, I have to do this, I'm in my element now, this is easy.
He's not good at the public stuff.
Yeah. So, and then we get to this fight, and, the big thing is, obviously, the Ironmonger's so much bigger and stronger, and has better weapons, and Tony's only at 19% power, which
because he's
always running out of power.
His old arc reactor can't handle it. It's not meant to power that sophisticated suit.
So, and then you get this fight. He uses the icing thing back to his advantage, where he flies super high up.
Yeah.
And then face it, and you think, oh, he saved the day. No, he didn't. They're still fighting.
So while Tony, by the way, Tony like, honestly, after he landed, after, like, doing the icing thing and the Ironmonger falling, he's like, okay, I gotta get this off because it's draining my power and I don't want to die. And then, so he's like, starts taking the suit off and he gets rid of the glove and the helmet. And then...
Weird order to do things.
Yeah. Then Ironmonger comes down and is like, I'm not dead! And it's like, oh no! So he's fighting, and the only way they can think to beat him is that he gets Pepper to, well, he disables his sight, pretty much, by flaring him and then ripping the optic connection out.
Which, again, I don't understand how he's still that bad a shot. This is the man
Right.
that hired
We'll get to that in a
like
second.
Hawkeye as his henchman, but he cannot fire a missile
Right.
within 20 feet of his target.
Yeah, he gets Pepper to start overloading the big arc reactor right under them, and Tony's pretty much just distracting him at that point. And then Stain pretty much like half desuits so he can see him because the camera stopped working because Tony ripped out the connection, and he's just firing missiles. They're missing by like 50 feet. And it's like, it's a
so
missile. You got at least a 10...
You've got splash damage.
Yeah, you got splash damage. You got a 10-foot radius to, like, hit Tony, and you cannot manage that.
And Tony's not moving here. He's hanging onto a broken piece of metal. Like, he's not even trying to pull himself up. He's just hanging.
Yeah, absolutely. And then Pepper overloads it. Big, like, spirit bomb-esque beam, Kamehameha, fires into the sky, which kills Stain because he was, like, half desuited. Tony takes the brunt of it. Tony takes the beam.
So Tony is closer to the explosion. He has no facial protection. He does have his armor on. I'll give him that.
Mm-hmm.
This explosion goes off, and we do see later, like, his suit is just charred, like, black, all damaged.
Ruined.
Face perfect. Face is perfect.
Yeah.
The face was facing the explosion.
And when Stain falls into the reactor, it causes a, like, actual explosion.
Again, Tony's still on the roof for this.
I said mid-movie, I was like, his hair should be burned off. Like, there's no way.
Something should have happened here. Because then the next day, his press conference, and he's like, has like one little cut.
Yeah, like, it's ridiculous. Which then we get to the end where they're like, hey, here's your alibi. Here's, like, Coulson from S.H.I.E.L.D., which they finally bring up. Like, oh, just call us S.H.I.E.L.D.
They dropped it.
Yeah,
They name dropped it.
Was just like, yeah, here's your alibi. You're on a yacht, blah, blah, blah. Tony goes out to the press conference and says, like, oh, I am Iron Man.
Forget this whole thing that's going to cover up and protect everyone I know and love.
Which the annoying reporter comes back at the end and is like, before Tony even brings it up, which is annoying, he's like, oh, a lot of you might be curious about the events that happened to Stark Industries. He's like, are you going to try to tell us that was your bodyguard and conveniently showed up, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, first of all, where are you getting that idea?
How are you getting press credentials to this stuff? Like, how are you keep getting invited back?
How do you have a job? You just jump into conclusions. And then he's like, no, I am Iron Man. Yeah.
Yeah, let's just roll with it.
Yeah.
He kind of likes the idea of having that theme. Then we get to the cut of the credits where you get the music, Iron Man music. And then we get the end credit stinger where Samuel L. Jackson making his MCU appearance here.
Mm-hmm.
And he says, you're part of a larger world now, Tony.
No. He says you're part of a larger universe.
Universe, yes, they do say universe.
Some could say it's quite cinematic.
Which, why is he saying the word universe? Because at this time,
I don't know.
If we're going by chronological, we have Cap, and we have Iron Man. That's Earth.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, Shield's always into weird stuff. So I guess with Hydra and then the the Tesseract, maybe, but...
Yeah, well, I guess we do have Ant-Man, too, because he's, like, kind of in the 60s a little bit. But, yeah, really, but anyway, it's a universe. It's the cinematic universe now. It's the first time it's mentioned. And I would like to talk to you about the Avenger Initiative, which I'm sure everyone remembers when that was set in theaters. Everyone lost their collective minds. Nice little spike there on the channel with that.
You like that waveform? What's up?
So, we do get to that scene there. So now it's time to rank this movie on our patented, scientifically proven S.H.I.E.L.D. scale. So for those of you that may be new or don't remember the S.H.I.E.L.D. scale, we were looking at the scoundrel, the villain of the movie.
Mm-hmm.
How are they portrayed? We're looking at the hero. How are they portrayed in their feats? We're looking at the integrity. Does this movie hold up? Do we have some kind of flaws? How much do we have to suspend disbelief for this?
Yeah.
The entertainment. How entertaining is this movie to watch?
Mm-hmm.
The Lee cameo.
Which, by the way, we started off low. This can only go up from here.
seriously, we started at a pit.
Yeah.
And I think there's nowhere to go but up from here. And then finally, the D is the development. How much does this develop the cinematic universe as a whole?
Yes.
So let's start with the scoundrel here, which is, we're going to say the Ironmonger. I know it's kind of, you kind of get the Ten Rings Ironmonger thing.
That was the biggest issue, or not the biggest, but it was an issue with this movie where it just wasn't clear. Do you want to use the 10 Rings, which would be great, or do you want to use Stain? And in the end, I feel like there was just a point where they committed to using Stain.
And I kind of liked it. Like, again, I think it... Like I said, he has that...
Yeah.
You have to think about the motivation, but it's there. It's like, I want this business. Obviously, this is a unique tech. I could sell it to the rest of the world for a lot of money. I don't care about the morals of it. I'm looking at the money. I could have the monopoly, which, again, is really funny that Disney now owns this property. Because honestly, after the Fox purchase, they own, like, all of Hollywood. So, but when I look at this, like, I think he did it's a good portrayal. Like you said, there are scenes he feels creepy and sinister.
Yeah, I think Jeff Bridges as an actor nailed it.
I just thought, like, the final fight just felt so meh.
Yeah, it wasn't...
It was a robot fighting a robot. I mean, I'm thinking... I'm going to go 2.5. I might be able to be talked up to 3, but definitely not higher than 3.
First gut reaction is 3, but I think I'll go 2.75. 2.75, just because I feel like if they would have committed to one villain, maybe brought up 10 Rings and then kind of left it would have been different, but they have this main character, or not main character, but this, like, central character in 10 Rings.
I mean, they are the villain. You see them as the villain for probably 60% of the movie.
Right.
You think they're going to come back and do this.
Right.
And then you kind of get that flip. It's like, you're not getting this from me, and it's mine.
Yeah.
From Jeff Bridges. But I just thought, like, the performance was pretty good, actually. It's a pretty strong acting job by Jeff Bridges, but I just thought, like, it felt so meh, the final scene. Like,
yeah, I think that's pretty fair. I mean, like, Jeff Bridges does great, but it's just a villain that, because it had that split screen time with the 10 Rings, we didn't get, like, to see him develop. Which, sure, he's not the hero, but I still want to know about that character.
That's a good point. Just focus on one.
Yeah.
Or, like, just have the... Once he leaves the desert the first time, drop them and focus just
on
Stain.
maybe later bring up, yeah, I sold weapons to them, or yeah, I did pay them.
But don't keep flashing back and cutting to them.
Don't give this, like, who's the villain? Oh, which one is it now? Like, yeah, that was too much. So the hero.
So Tony Stark, Iron Man. What do you think, Connor?
Oh my God, I love a damaged hero. There's just something about it. I'm gonna give him a solid 4.5.
Wow.
Now I will say 4.25. Let's change that. 4.25, because I think later, as we do get more of his past and more of, like, how he is. I just love the idea of a hero whose biggest struggles isn't who he's fighting, but on the inside.
So, I'm kind of viewing this a little differently.
Okay.
I agree the character Tony Stark's very developed. I'm just looking at the Iron Man itself, and how was I wowed by Iron Man? And at the end of the day, I really wasn't wowed, because he's still working the kinks out. I get it, but I'm very unimpressed. Like, when you think about what he's eventually going to be doing in the Avengers and Civil War.
He's essentially, later in the movies, he's like the pro hero. You know?
But this is just like, he can't even be the, metal version of himself.
That's true.
And so, I mean, I do agree. It's definitely, I think, a little better than our last movie we watched, Captain America. I can't. I'm going to go 3.75.
It was honestly a flip. I think Cap didn't shine till the end, and Iron Man kind of fizzled out at the end.
Yeah, like I said, the beginning of this movie is very strong.
Absolutely.
I think the whole scene in the cave, that whole idea. Then you get that middle that's
where
just dragged.
It loses the momentum.
I know you're trying to build the character, but it just loses all that momentum you started with.
After the Captain America 2 montage movie, I think making that whole shoot development thing a montage would have been a lot better.
Is that your say to everything? Just make it a montage?
No, but I'm saying, like, Captain America had 2 montages, which at first I pointed out as weird, but in the end, I can see the necessity, But, like, I think if they made this whole, like, because it was a good amount of time of him developing the suit.
Yeah, and it's just some things like, okay, he can't fly at first. Oh, by the way, the first test flight, he goes 5%, flies really well. Tony Stark has CTE now. Like, that is known, that is canon.
Yeah,
I'm not a doctor, but I can tell you, when you hit a concrete wall that hard with your face, you have CTE.
Yeah.
Or at least a very bad concussion.
Yeah, at least.
So I'm gonna go 3.75 on it. I thought the character is very well done. I think as we go into 2 and 3, I could actually maybe get that even higher.
Right.
There might be some other scores that drop, but that could be higher for me.
Right.
For the Iron Man trilogy, but I just thought like the weapons itself, I was very unimpressed with.
Okay.
Like, especially when you see like his potential where he starts the movie, builds this out scrap. Now he has access to everything, and it is.
He does. Yeah. I mean, he doesn't use flamethrowers. He doesn't use a lot of stuff he used at first. I see what you're saying.
So let's look at the integrity. So this is kind of how does this movie hold up? So remember, this is the first movie to come out in the MCU. It came out in 2008, right. May of 2008.
May.
So we're going on almost. It's going to come up on 10 years.
Right. Right. Yeah, it's going to be about 10 years.
I think the CGI actually does hold up.
Yeah,
really
the CG looks really good. And maybe it's because it's like it's metallic. It's not like an organic shape. Like it's not like the cat.
It's a lot easier to CG that kind of stuff as opposed to like living things.
And I think it looks great because it's metal. It can be reflective, and that honestly a lot of CG kind of automatically looks reflective. Mm-hmm. So I think that works out in its advantage. The CG looked really good.
The CG looked really good. I think the acting, like, it's still, like, relevant today.
Yeah, the acting is still pretty good.
And the plot, the idea of ethics versus money, that's still relevant today.
Yeah,
so I think that's but like I said, there were a lot of things I saw in there that I thought, like, just... I felt like...
There was a lot
you have to suspend disbelief in Captain America. Yeah. I almost think you have to suspend even more in this one.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Because there's a point where he's buried waist deep in sand, and you're like, no, your legs are powder. You're not... And
the thing about Tony Stark, he's not superhuman. He doesn't have super strength. He's not super durable. He is the MCU Batman. He has
say maybe the closest thing to superpower he has is he's like super smart.
Yeah,
but he's not the smartest guy in Marvel.
He's not the smartest guy in Marvel. He's not strong. There's so many things that should have been like. I know we're watching a movie. It's a comic movie, but like that should have killed him. I would love to see that he had a broken nose because of that, or the fact when he crashed into that sand pit waist deep and he has a broken arm and that's it. His legs are perfectly fine. Like
I think if they showed the consequence to it all, I think it would have been a little better.
I'm gonna give this a 2 in integrity. I think there's some parts that hold it. You know what? I'm gonna go 2.25 actually.
I was gonna say I think that's where I would put it too.
Okay, so we're both going 2.
I graded it a little higher than Captain America, but.
And I graded it a little lower than Captain America, so we're kind of we're both in agreement. Entertainment. How entertained were you in this movie?
Oh, it's an entertaining movie.
I agree that I say there are better. I'm comparing this now to the movie we watched, right? Captain America: The First Avenger.
Right.
There are better scenes in this movie than I think there are in Captain America. But if I'm looking at how much I enjoyed the movie the whole way throughout, I think Captain America is more entertaining.
Yeah.
Because, like I said, there's that stretch in the middle where he's developing, then you have that party scene. It's just kind of a drag.
I will say, Tony Stark, specifically Robert Downey Jr.'s portrayal of him, kind of did it for me. I think that's what made it, for me, more entertaining. It's just him as a character was funny, charismatic. He's a jerk and he's selfish and stuff, but that's also a little bit of the charm to him. So...
Yeah, I mean, there were funny lines in there. I think honestly, I feel like I'd be more entertained if Don Cheadle had been.
If Don Cheadle was in this from the start, this movie would have been way more entertaining.
I think so. So I'm thinking compared to my last week, I think I'm gonna go. It's slightly less entertaining overall. What are you gonna go with? Let me hear what you say first, and I'll go from.
If it wasn't for Tony Stark, I think I'd agree. It would be slower. It would be lower. I might put it just a nudge above Cap. I think I'll go 3.25 just because I really like Tony's charisma.
Okay, so you're going 3.25.
Yeah.
And here's always the thing I look at, like, if I'm really stuck, like, if this movie comes on FX, how likely am I to sit down and watch it?
That is a good scale.
That's a good scale. And here's what I see. If a 5, that means I could catch this in any part of the movie, and I'm going to watch it. It could be the final 10 minutes I'm going to watch it. It could be the first 5 minutes I'm going to watch it.
Right.
If I catch this movie at the wrong scene, I'm changing the channel.
What's a movie you would do that to? What's a movie you would watch? Like no
Gladiator. Any scene in Gladiator, watch it. The Patriot.
I was gonna say Patriot.
Patriot is one of the movies I sit down, I watch. The Replacements, because that's on TNT every Sunday.
I don't even like football, and I do that.
So there are some movies like I don't care where you are, I'm gonna sit down until I have to do something.
Yeah, that's a good skill. I mean, yeah, I could definitely see if you catch it in him building the suit, which is a good chunk of the movie, you'd probably turn it off.
And I guess the other thing I could compare it to then is, and again, we have a couple movies to review this from when I'm torn, and I only have two. FX has Captain America, TBS has Iron Man, same time, same scenes, which one I'm watching. I'm probably going to watch Captain America first for me. So I'm going to drop it slightly below and go 2.75 on the entertainment. Now,
that's fair.
The lead cameo. We had a stinker last week.
Oh my gosh.
A good one.
I can't believe the first one was so low. I just like the idea of Stan Lee, who kind of almost has this like aloofness about him. Like, he doesn't always necessarily, not in a crazy way, he just doesn't always necessarily know what's going on. Just him as Hugh Hefner is funny. I'll give it a 2.5, I think.
Oh, I was going to go even higher than that.
You think? I was thinking 3. Yeah, I'll say 3.
That's exactly...
I'll say 3.
That's exactly where I was going with this. I think it's slightly above average. You definitely get more of a chuckle on this one.
Yeah.
It's just the visuals very well done. So
absolutely.
I'm going to give it a 3. It's slightly above average. Not the best. There's better ones coming. But I think it is pretty good. And finally, the development. So how much does this movie develop the MCU? So there's a lot you have to consider here. Because first,
Iron Man's a key player.
First, he's a key player. You get S.H.I.E.L.D. mentioned in here.
Yeah.
You get the Ten Rings mentioned in here. You have Nick Fury for the first time.
Mm-hmm.
And you've also got to count that this is the movie that starts
This is the movie that gave Marvel the momentum.
Had this movie failed, this podcast would not exist, and our dozens of fans would be very disappointed.
Potentially dozens of fans. This was a movie that had a lot of movement to it in that. I mean, just Iron Man, as big of a player as Iron Man's been, you know, he's a key player for Avengers, obviously, being the quote unquote armored Avenger. He was big in Spider-Man's, you know, Captain America Civil War he's a big part in. Stark Industries is an influential thing in the whole universe. Development-wise, I think you got to give it the props. I'll give it a 4.
Well, you know what? I was actually going to go even a little higher than that. Because I said, you've got... This movie does so much for the MCU. Like, you're setting the groundwork. You're kind of laying out, this is what the world's going to be like.
Right.
And they do a decent job of that. You said you're going 4?
I'll go 4, yeah. Well, you got to remember, last time we had Cap with with the Tesseract, first Infinity Stone. But this is the movie that set the plot. This is the movie that gave us not the first Avenger, but the first mention of the Avengers and stuff. So
and that's why I'm going to go 4.25 here.
Okay. Because
I think it does enough to develop this world and lays the groundwork. And again, it is the first one to happen.
I mean, it's like you said with the stinger at the end. You know, when they said, we want to talk to you about the Avengers initiative, that got people hype. You know, and that just shows that, you know, it was development that needed to happen.
So do you want to vamp here while I calculate?
Yeah, I will absolutely vamp. Iron Man's definitely one of my favorite Avengers. Tony Stark as a character is really good. Like I said before, the idea of the hurt hero, the guy whose major problem might not be the fact that he's fighting Ironmonger. It's the fact that, you know, he has these issues with his family and what he was doing with his life and you know, the alcoholism that's more in the comics than anything. But you know, he's a hero who is more concerned with his personal life in a good way than a bad way. And being a superhero is almost like escapism for him. It's being away from the problem and saying, oh no, I'm not worrying about this now. I have the world to save. But then knowing that that's still kind of at the back of his head all the time is what makes Iron Man a good character to me. And Cap, on the other hand, is someone who doesn't have to worry about that, mainly because of the situation he's in, which is why when Civil War came out, well, even when I read Civil War, I was kind of cheering for Iron Man, even though Cap had the. Okay, I was cheering for Cap because it was the right one to choose, but I was cheering for Iron Man because gotta love Iron Man.
Hey, thank you for vamping.
Oh, hey man, you're back.
Hey, so I calculated the scores. Interesting thing, I actually, if we took the, for the shield scale, we do have this weighed, so do not think.
Mysteriously, it's the secret weight.
Top men spent dozens of hours weighing this to get you the best ranking possible. So if you thought the lead cameo was worth equal to everything, you're wrong.
Which, yeah, it's.
We're not going to tell you if it's higher or lower than you think.
Look, let's just say we are at least on par with Krusty Krab tier security. Plankton is not getting our scale.
No one is getting this. We
no.
have we're protected from small, big rodents,
oblong,
obtuse, acute.
Yeah.
All those things we're protected from. But surprisingly, I had Captain America ranked as a higher movie than Iron Man personally. But when we took our scores and added them together. Iron Man is now the top movie in the MCU.
Oh yes, of the two.
Because you love this movie.
I love the character.
Your love of this movie was able to. It was kind of surprising when we did Captain America. Our scores are very similar. There's a bigger gap between these two scores. So right now, if we rank these out of the two movies we've done in again the chronological order of the MCU, Iron Man is number 1, followed by Captain America: The First Avenger, and Connor. We got a special treat for you next time. Oh. So we're talking about is this the only Marvel movie you have not seen?
I think so. I think this would be the only one I haven't seen.
So the next movie we are watching is going to be The Incredible Hulk, the forgotten MCU movie, because technically not made by Marvel.
Even if it doesn't have Mark Ruffalo.
It does not have Mark Ruffalo. We're looking at Edward Norton. I think you're going to be pleasantly surprised.
I'm not expecting much.
Then you will be pleasantly surprised. It is not as bad as that 2004 Aang whatever one that's just like Hulk dogs. And that was weird. This one, I think you'll be pleasantly surprised.
Okay.
So next week we're going to be doing The Incredible Hulk, the second Marvel movie to come out in 2008. The one before the Disney merger, we believe. We'll have to look up Iron Man.
Yeah, we'll have to look that up.
But yeah, thank you for joining us again for Super Marvel Brothers. Had a great time. Hopefully you guys had a great time listening. Like to thank the Couch Gnomes for letting us use their channel for our product placement because we didn't feel like making our own YouTube channel.
Yeah, because who needs to find a channel? Yeah, we didn't want to be Super Marvel Cast Bros 3257. Yeah, please check out the other stuff on the channel. We got plenty of stuff. We stream every Friday. Please come check it out. If you got there from this podcast, let us know.
Is there a way they can message us? Like if they wanted to ask a Marvel-specific question?
We have a Couch Gnomes Facebook page.
Oh, a Couch Gnomes Facebook page. Tell us more.
You could go on there and send us a message, and me, Kanai, or Danny will get it. And I'm sure...
Not me. I am not.
No, he's not connected to it.
Just like the Incredible Hulk, I am only loosely affiliated.
Affiliated. You can message us there, and if you have questions, we might do that. That would be a fun little segment to do for the podcast.
If you disagree with us, if you want us to bring some points up...
leave it in the comments, please.
Please leave it in the comments. Please. We love reading these comments.
We love it. Give us your flames, your hate, your salt. All right, guys. Thank you for listening, and come back next week for The Incredible Hulk.
Get pumped.
Get pumped.
Later.